Yo, welcome to the New Normal Podcast, a place where we say what everybody is thinking. Thank y'all for tuning in with me today. If y'all see this thumbnail and title, we're going to be talking about the religious zealots and how people have let religion go to their head. We're going to be talking about Dania Jackson's interview. If you don't know who that is, that's the dating guru's ex wife, Derek Jackson's ex wife. She was on Dear Future Wifey. Um, I'll try to pick out some timestamps in that video, but we just gonna go over it because it is a lot to unpack. And I'm gonna say this: Derek Jackson used his wife as his muse, right? The reason I say that is all the stuff and all the advice that he gave out is because he was doing what he was doing it to her. So Derek Jackson used his wife as a muse, as a guinea pig, as what to look out because I'm doing this at home. And the sad part about Derek Jackson, a lot of the stuff that he was saying, men were telling women, hey, men do not move like this. Men don't operate like this. Men don't even remotely think like this. And then when he did give sound advice about things that men would do, the manipulative nature and stuff like that, those were spot on because he was actually practicing that in his marriage. The other thing we're gonna talk about is Deitrick Haddon. Um, Deitrick Haddon, the last few years have been catching a lot of slack because Deitrick Haddon, um, I guess is like the it's kind of like shunned a little bit when it comes to like the gospel scene. And the reason that I say that, if y'all pay attention to gospel music, I grew up in the church. My dad's a pastor and whatnot. So growing up in the gospel scene and in church, Deitrick Haddon always kind of got shunned a little bit because he was a guy with the tattoos. He was, trying to do like R&B music for a point in time. They didn't like the direction that he was going with his music, the sound of his music, who he was hanging out with at one point in time. And now they're mad at Deitrick Haddon because he was getting twerked on by his wife, though. He wasn't getting twerked on by a random individual. He was getting twerked on by his wife, and now they're mad. And it's getting to the point now where people in the church try to act like they don't judge and they let God do all the judging. But the church folks is some of the most judgmental people you will ever meet. So much so that the judgment is so high. That's why the attendance ends up being so low. A lot of people don't like to talk about why a lot of people, or especially men, don't go to church as much. Um, I understand why women go to church because women, especially single women, they're praying to God to get a man. And we have a couple, married couple here enjoying themselves. And I think it was supposed to be at like his birthday party, if I'm not mistaken. Do y'all think that it's okay for married people to have fun in clubs and twerk on each other, even if they're supposed to be Christian, saved of the body of Christ? Y'all let me know what y'all think. And before we go any further, y'all make sure y'all like the video, share it, comment, make sure y'all subscribe, follow the page, share the video, especially. We're trying to grow this page, so y'all help me do that. But y'all let me know. Do y'all think it's cool for married couples to twerk on each other, or the married woman to twerk on her husband in public? I think, like I said, we so judgmental nowadays, especially when it comes to church and religion, but they try to act like they don't. Um, I remember I'm from Birmingham, and I remember they tried to make a nightclub at one of the churches I attended, and it was supposed to be for for the single people so they can get to know each other and meet each other because the outcry from the women was that in church there was no good places to go and mingle outside of like secular events to meet men, right? So to solve their problem, they called themselves making like a night spot or a like a coffee bar and stuff like that. So church women and church men could mingle with each other and get to know each other and stuff like that. So I'm going to share this video and y'all let me know what y'all think. This right here is Deitrick Haddon and his wife, and she twerking on him. Y'all let me know if this is bad or whatnot. I ain't gonna play the music. Hold on. I ain't gonna play the music of this. What is the music now? I want to know. And if y'all see her, she's definitely giving a Christian twerk right now because they might not get out the house enough, or she might not get a chance to twerk on her husband enough because this is the worst twerking I think I've ever seen in my life. So this is definitely a Christian twerk. This is PG. He ain't got her pushed over and like, she ain't got her hands on the floor. She's still doing her, I'm in the choir church clap while she's dancing. So this is a horrible twerk, but nonetheless, it's got the church outrage. And like I said, when it comes to like Christian music, if you keep up with Christian music, Deitrick Haddon always struggled with his image and what people thought about him and stuff like that because huh, he had a different one. He had a different look too. That was a thing that was an issue for him. The look that he had, and a lot of people had a problem with that, with his look. Hold on, get this right. It's one of these. Yeah, a lot of people had an issue with his look. So that was an issue there. Like I said, if y'all remember, he used to have the tattoos, piercings. He was trying to do like gospel music. I think at one point in time he wanted to, go in and out. And I think part of him struggling to find out his calling or what he was trying to do was because of money. I think a lot of it, I think him and a few other gospel artists were complaining about the money, and I think that's why we see a lot of gospel artists cross that line and just go into secular music and do R&B because a lot of your good artists and singers and stuff like that grow up in the church, but they end up doing R&B and secular artists. And a lot of your Motown singers grew up in the church, leading the choir, playing the piano and stuff like that. But ultimately they cross over, and I think it's because of popularity, fame, money. Churches don't get the push when it comes to music. I think gospel music have stricter gatekeepers than rap music. And because so much so because it's a smaller demographic. People that go to church and listen to gospel music is small. So you're trying to fight for the ear of a group that is extremely, extremely small. But I'm gonna continue to play the video. See what the rest of this dance talking about. Now this was really harmless. This twerk. This was really PG. This is really him and his wife showing affection and having fun. I remember when I grew up in the Baptist church. I'm from deep South, Birmingham, Alabama, and one of the things when it comes to being in church, our Baptist church especially, I remember being in church all day, and one of the things about church is people did not show affection to their spouses or their spouses in church. I still remember it was a time where women could not be in the pulpit at churches. Like they couldn't, women couldn't be preachers. Women, you had your deaconess, and that was rare. But women could not sit in the pulpit at Baptist churches when I was growing up. It was certain things they had to do. I still remember a time where the women sat on one side of the church and the other women sat, and the men sat on the other side of the church, and you never seen them really interact at church until you was eating after church. That was one of the weirdest things. So when I went to like a non-denominational church, I seen a lot of people, huh, men and women, sitting next to each other, and they were showing affection. The husbands would wrap their arms around their wives and kiss them on the cheek and hold hands in church and in public. So it was really a difference. It was a culture shock, and seeing men show affection to their wives was different in public. Like, I grew up in a two-parent home, so I seen my family, my mom and father, always be affectionate. My dad used to slap my mom on the booty, and she used to come around and grab them and kiss them on the cheek and stuff like that. So I always seen people in my household be affectionate, but other couples, especially in the church setting, that was different. So I can understand why so many people are outraged with Deitrick Haddon and his wife twerking, because I think we still have a lot of those people stuck in those old ways and they need to get out of it. Like I said, the church try to act like they aren't judgmental, but they're very judgmental. You have the more judgmental you have in church, the less the attendance is. That's one thing that I noticed, especially mom and pop churches. Those churches that get started and founded by the family, and it's real extra messy. And you have the auntie over the books, the uncle might be the pastor, and somebody else is the overseer of the church, and how the funds get spent. Those churches are horrible. Like, I've been to a bunch of those. If it's real family structured at the top, it's going to be a bad church from my experience. And like I said, those people that's in the church, they always seem to have it to where they're kind of like assholes, if I would say. They're assholes. They snooty. They feel like God ordained the whole family instead of the pastor. So that's something that a lot of people have to deal with. Like they said, you had to deal with a lot of church hurt coming up, finding your church home, stuff like that. And us as black people, I feel like church was very necessary back in the day. If forget, your religion or what you believe, but the aspect of church and the community, growing, learning who in your community did what, how can y'all community build, who was riding and stuff like that. That was important in church. And that's why you needed, church at that point in time. Church, I don't think it has that family or community building dynamic now. Like, especially we have these mega churches, and now I see a lot of churches, and I went to a church where, you go to church and then your pastor on the screen because he's so busy building other churches, and he had to go back and forth between churches, and wants to be a bishop. And what that ultimately does is take out the intimacy out of church, where people just come in, open their Bible, and praise and shout and just leave the same way they came in. They just do it out of obligation. Like the Bible say, raise a child the way he go, that he never depart, because that's what a lot of people are doing now. They're just going to church out of repetition. They had the same anger out of repetition. A lot of people honestly don't believe in the Bible or in God. They just do it, but they call it flame insurance or your hell insurance, or just making sure you don't go to hell. So I'm gonna go and pay this little drop in the bucket on a Sunday or Saturday. People always like to say, God knows my heart. If God truly know your heart, just because you come to church, baby, he know that you come to church just because you scared to go to hell. You don't really believe. You ain't really out here repenting. You still sinning Monday through Saturday, doing what you want to do. Y'all worse than Deitrick Haddon and his wife. Y'all be up in the club with bent all over, and you're dressed and rolls up, and y'all ain't got no drawers on. No draws, just booty everywhere. And we all looking around because we trying to figure out where that smell coming from. And it's coming from you. We look over, and we like, damn, that's the pastor daughter. She be sitting front row every day, and she out here bent over smelling like this with her booty in the air. This don't make no sense. And y'all want to be out here judging Deitrick Haddon and his wife because she gave him a holy twerk down, because that's what that really was. It was a few seconds to celebrate his birthday with his wife, and he can't even show affection to his wife. And I guess, and I understand that some of it is, as Christians, you don't want to look like the world, right? I get that. You're supposed to separate yourself from being like the world, being like secular, being like the everyday man and woman. That's the part of being a Christian. You're supposed to go read your Bible, understand and have a relationship with God, be baptized, born again, renewed, all of that with the spirit. I get it and I understand it. You're supposed to walk in it. And twerking is not a part of God. But he said be fruitful and multiply. So a lot of y'all was twerking to get them kids. Let's be real. Y'all was twerking to get them kids. I guess the only aspect of it is doing it in public and then doing it in private. That's y'all issue. Like I said, you have to not be so judgmental when it comes to church about a man and a wife and what they do. At this point, if I was in church and I heard a man and a wife were swingers, I wouldn't even care because that's what they want to do in their